everyone, welcome back to my channel. Oh my gosh, I'm actually so excited about this video because one of the biggest reasons why I started this channel was kind of so that I could keep track of my goals for the year and really motivate myself and hopefully whoever is watching to set up goals that make them feel good. So anyways, without any further ado, hello, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Grace, and on this channel we talk about how to live your best intentional life, but realistically, because shit happens, you know what I mean? Anyways, yeah, this is just a very full circle moment for me because I started this channel not knowing what would happen, how it would go, and I have just had the most fun posting videos. And yeah, I'm just really excited to do this little recap of 2022 and kind of brainstorm some ideas of the systems that I want to set up for 2023, because I've seen the pitfalls of this year. I've kind of realigned closer to my goals and what I want my life to be moving forward, and we're just manifesting our way through all that stuff. So anyways, without any further ado, let's get into the video. So we are starting out with doing a little bit of a recap of our goals of 2022. So if you have your goals written down, now would be the time to go and grab them. I always suggest writing your goals down in a journal so that you can always reference back to them. And this is why we do our little check-ins every quarter. So this is a great time to do a little bit of a recap of this year, think about what you want to do for next year, and then on the first Saturday, I think, the first weekend of the month, I will be posting a video about setting up our goals for 2023, locking them in, keeping ourselves accountable and positive and motivated for the new year. So I had three main goals this past year. My first one was to find a weekly schedule that works for me and motivates me to get things done. The second one was to spend less time scrolling and more time doing other things like reading, baking, blah, blah, blah. And the third one was to move my body more, get outside more, blah, blah, blah. I would suggest definitely not doing things that are so vague. I definitely had a couple of things that were more specific pinpoints of each of these things, and I'm gonna go through how I thought that I did this year, and then at the end I'm gonna talk about my ideas for 2023. So the first one up is find a weekly schedule that works for you and motivates you. That is something that I feel like I did okay at. I definitely had a bit of a routine where it's film a video early on in the week, try to edit it before the weekend, and most of this year I was posting videos on Friday. I've kind of switched that to be a little bit gentler on myself and go for weekend posting, ideally Saturday morning, but if it doesn't happen, Sunday night is okay too. It kind of just gives me a little bit less of a complete rigid structure and makes me feel less overwhelmed when I don't hit the deadline. I definitely could have been a bit more dialed in, but one thing that I did realize about myself this year, and part of that was being diagnosed with ADHD partway through the year, is that book planners, they do not work for me. Goodbye, sorry. Blessings and goodbye, we're leaving you in 2022. Honestly, if you also have ADHD, book planners, they're not your friend. Honestly, they're not. Because honestly, unless it's the type of thing you have right at your desk or you have it in your backpack and you're grabbing for it every single day and it's something that it keeps all your thoughts in one place. For me, I have used Google Calendar for that because it's always around. You always have your phone on you, almost always, and even if you don't for some reason, you can access it through a computer at the library, at a friend's house, whatever. Google Calendar is always there for you. It's in the cloud, it's always around. That book is only in one place at a time, and if you don't have it on you at the moment, your thought of oh, I gotta schedule that, poof, it's gone. It's absolutely gone, out of your head, out of your mind, into the netherverse, and it is out of there. So essentially, the phenomenon that I'm talking about is out of sight, out of mind. That's the easy, common way to say it, but it's the actual psychological principle of object permanence. So that is something that your brain develops for you when you are very young. Obviously, we have the basic like ability to be like, oh, like if I'm behind my hands, I still exist sort of thing that like you don't understand until you develop object permanence. But the thing about ADHD is like, if you put something away, or if it's closed, or if it's like out of the way, it becomes non-existent. Like it literally might as well not exist because you don't remember that it exists, because people with ADHD tend to have a less than average working memory. But that's like a whole other point. Anyways, for me, I don't go to school anymore. I am just like out in the world doing things, and having a book that is closed away on my shelf, because I don't have like a desk or anything, it is extremely, it just makes me using the planner like non-existent. So I have said goodbye to physical planners this year. I'm using Notion and Google Calendar, and that's just the way that it's gonna be until I have my own desk, and then I'm gonna have an open facing, tear away week by week calendar and a month calendar on my wall. That's it. So my second goal this year was to spend more time reading and doing other more mindful activities and less time scrolling. I would say, again, I've done a very average job at this overall, because I set a few goals for myself of like bake 1 new recipe a month and read 10 books and maybe like scroll on your phone less. In general, I would say I have probably scrolled on my phone a little bit less, but I would say I don't feel the difference of it. Like I don't feel any positive feelings about my not lack of scrolling, my slightly reduced amount of scrolling, because I feel like it still kind of ruins my day because I have very little impulse control on things that give me dopamine. I don't have an addictive personality, thank goodness, but you know, sometimes when something gives me dopamine, like the instant hit of whatever, of scrolling on your phone, using social media, it's really hard for me to not allow myself to do that thing when it's right there and available. If something, you need to take like 5 steps to do it before you can do it, that is what makes it more difficult. So I'm gonna try and implement those tactics for next year. I set like a time limit on my app so I can only scroll for about an hour and a half a day, but I feel like even that is too much and it kind of derails my day or my morning. If I don't get like started in the morning, I feel like my whole day is kind of just like off to a wonky start. So yeah. In terms of like reading books and baking and stuff, I've definitely tried a lot of new recipes. I baked more than I have ever baked in my life this past year, and I read more books than I said I would. So I only said that I would read 10 books, but I have only read about 16 and a half books, and I re-upped my goal in the middle of the year and said, okay, let's do 22 books in 2022. It only turned out to be about 16 and a half, but it's better than the 10 that I originally promised myself. So I'm gonna let it slide, I'm gonna allow it. And I definitely fell off the wagon for my baking challenge, but you know what? I baked more than I've ever baked in my life, and I'll call that a win. A win is a win, right? Okay, and then for the third goal, I feel like I miserably failed in terms of the thoughts that I had and the goals and the dreams that I had at the beginning of the year, but I would say I didn't completely fail. I say I did an okay job because I wanted to get outside more and explore and do some things more. And you know what? I joined my local garden community people and I did some gardening. I went outside on walks every once in a while to clear my head. I did some little solo dates in the park every once in a while. So overall, compared to previous years, I would say that I have harnessed the use of the outdoors in a more positive way this year. So I'm gonna call myself a good job on that one. I would say the theme of this year is be proud of yourself for any little wins, because it's been a hard year for everyone. It's been a hard 3 fucking years for everyone. And you're doing the best you can. You really are doing the best you can. And any amount of progress over a year is progress towards a positive direction if you feel good about it. So thinking about 2023, I'm just gonna brainstorm a few things of what I wanna focus on. So I think the most important thing that I talk about on this channel, at least when you're setting goals, is to set goals of things that actually make you feel good. We are not setting goals to put ourselves down and make ourselves feel bad about where we are now. We are setting goals to elevate ourselves. We are setting goals to help ourselves grow. We are setting goals to do things that we know make us feel better. And I'll be posting a whole video about this, kind of explaining in a little bit more detail in the first weekend of the new year. But anyways, some of my ideas for 2023, I say that my number one goal for 2023 is to be more intentional with my time and my energy. So like I said, that is a very broad thing to say. So essentially, ways that I'm going to try to make this happen is to break my social media addiction, kind of like break my phone addiction in general. And I'm actually gonna be starting a really cool like read your library challenge. I'm gonna be posting a video about that next week. I will be doing it with a friend and we're both going to read down our library, which is basically just looking at the books you already own, reading through them, and then either keeping them or giving them away when you're done. Because you know, if you have a book problem that you just keep buying books, and then you would never read them. So we are not gonna let that happen. We are on our minimalism journey. We are on our self-improvement journey. Also, I'm definitely going to be getting outside more because my dog will hopefully finally be in tip-top health and we can get outside and do things like run around more and exercise and do all those fun things that I've always wanted to do with a dog of my own. My other big main goal that's gonna take up a lot of my time and energy is the holistic healing of my eczema. It's going to include fixing my diet from the inside out, healing my gut, all that stuff, figuring out a good routine for meditation, trying to do that every morning, keeping myself calm because stress is another huge thing with eczema, and yoga because although it was one of my goals last year, I barely moved my body last year. Like honestly, it's embarrassing. I'm gonna try to set up the systems that will make these things happen, having me be more intentional with my time and healing my body from the inside out. So yeah, hopefully that wasn't too rambly. I feel like it kind of was, but you know what? This video is more for me than it is for anyone else, but if you found benefit from it, I'm very happy because I feel like doing little check-ins with yourself are deeply important with kind of like keeping yourself accountable. So if you want to be a happier and healthier person, you have to realize that you gotta do the inner work, you gotta reach inside. It's not gonna be fun, it's gonna be painful, it's gonna be ugly, it's gonna be messy, but it's also going to be beautiful. I have never felt so in tune with my true like purpose and self than I have in this past year, and it has been painful. It has been, it's been a fucking thing. So before I continue to ramble more, let's wrap the video up. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this has been helpful for you. Please feel free to like and subscribe so you can stay on track with your goals this next year and make it your best year yet. And get yourself closer to your most true harmonious self. You know what I mean? That is all for this week. I will see you again in next week's video. And until then, I'm sending all my love.